there, listeners and lurkers. I'm Amy Johnston.
And I'm Allyn Johnston.
And we're so happy that you're joining us for The Last Isle. This week, we'll be covering the 1989 movie Puppet Master, directed by David Schmoller, who also directed a little ditty called Tourist Trap, and written by plural writers: Charles Band for the story, Kenneth J. Hall, David Schmoller, and J.S. Cardone. Special effects were by David Allen. He did the puppets. Mm-hmm. And special makeup effects were by Patrick Simmons. That's a lot of writers for a horror movie.
It's a lot of writers for this movie.
Yeah. I have no idea. I had no idea what to expect here. I'm predicting a horror camel. You know, what do you call a horse designed by committee? A camel.
Yeah.
We've had 2 super intense weeks in our last few episodes. Like, I really wanted to cover something
a little bit
that takes itself just a little less seriously.
Yeah, for real.
A straight to video horror featuring a punchy thumbhead puppet definitely provides that.
Yep.
There is a lot to get into here. So now, if you'll indulge me, a dramatic greeting. Hey, actually, wait. Apropos of nothing, I turned 40 this year.
Yay. Sister.
And we started a horror podcast.
Yeah.
And what they don't tell a 40-year-old introvert is that if you are editing horror movie podcasts alone with headphones on, you will convince yourself that you're about to be slashered.
Oh, no.
Just
somebody's in the house.
I'm an old scared woman. And now for a reading of the back of the box. Alex Whitaker and 3 other gifted psychics are investigating rumors that the secret of life has been discovered by a master puppeteer, Andre Toulon. But the psychics quickly discover Toulon's secret to death in the form of live killer puppets, each one uniquely qualified for murder and mayhem. Together, they are an army of skilled assassins, diabolically programmed to guard the deadly secrets of the Puppet Master. So, I have never seen this movie.
I had not either. We picked this one because we kind of, when we started the podcast, when we called it The Last Isle, we had talked about, like, let's cover a bunch of movies that we remember the covers of, from when we were kids, but, like, that we never saw.
Yeah.
I remember the cover for this. I never saw it. So I was like, great, let's do it. Like you said, we need a palate cleanser after the last 2 episodes that were super heavy. So we went in blind. I knew what the main little puppet guy looked like, the blade puppet.
Yeah.
I knew nothing else. So this was a fun one.
Yeah.
This was a fun one.
And I do vividly remember this cover too.
Oh God, me too.
Like, this was definitely a Hollywood video.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely.
And I just I saw the back of the box and was like, I remember what Hollywood video smells like. Is that a thing that happens to you?
Yeah, you get sense memories of like, oh man,
oh,
I know I'm near
carpet cleaner and stale popcorn.
Right, I know I'm near the front, near the checkout, because I like smell all the things of like Jiffy Pop and Twizzlers or whatever. The cool thing about this movie too is that when they made it, it was originally going to be theatrically released.
Yeah,
but the band, Charles Band,
producer,
said, you know what? We're not going to put this on in theaters. We're actually going to do a straight to home movie release.
Yeah,
because this was kind of the heyday of home video rental.
It was.
I mean, because this was what, 89? 89? Yeah.
89.
I mean, I was 9, you were 7.
Yeah.
So like,
we saw it. We wanted to see it.
I'm sure we wanted. Well, yeah. I mean,
I'm sure we asked.
Well, I might not have. I wasn't big into horror as a kid. I did see some, but it had this. I can't say that this would not have turned into the cult classic that it is had it been released in theaters.
Yeah,
I don't think it would have done well. But it may have been a smart choice to just put this straight to video and be like, you know what, you want to see it, go rent it. Because it's a trip. It's an absolute trip.
Oh my God. It's so much as a trip. And there is so much to talk about.
Yeah.
I watched this for the first time knowing absolutely nothing from the plot.
Same.
I didn't even read the back of the box until I wrote the script from having seen the movie, because I wanted to know nothing going in. I just knew that there were puppets, but I didn't know. I'd never seen a trailer, nothing. Yeah, so this franchise spawned 13 sequels.
Oh my God, is it 13?
There's 13 movies related to
I was going to say
Master.
10. I was like, so 10 seems right.
I think it's 10 sequels. There's like
3 spinoffs. Plus, they're not done.
No, I wasn't. That's not even including the spinoffs. That's including like the reboots and the revamps and So I think there's like 13 Puppet Master movies plus some, then some.
I don't know about you, but and we can talk about this after we're all done. But I don't know how invested I'm going to be in watching any of the following movies.
I think I'll venture into this cult a little bit further. It also inspired an entire comic book spinoff. There's like an entire comic series related to subplots and stuff like that. There's a Nazi element that we will not even get into.
I heard,
but there is a like distinct Nazi element.
Yeah, I heard about that.
So I mean, I want to know more. I am curious about more. But anyway,
we should probably get this rolling because there's a lot to go through.
There is really a lot to go through. So without further ado, let's get this crazy stop motion fever dream going.
Yeah.
Here at The Last Aisle, we want to remain mindful of sensitive topics, so we are offering a content warning for the following episode. The following movie analysis will include discussions of scenes depicting sexual assault and rape. Listener discretion is strongly advised. Enjoy the rest of our podcast, and thank you, listeners and lurkers.
Caution. Spoilers ahead.
The opening credits roll over calliope music and various wavy, dreamy camera shots of a wooden marionette face, and enter my nightmarescape. The music is not particularly spooky, but it harkens back to early episodes of Are You Afraid of the Dark, which I know is like a little bit past. You didn't watch that show.
I knew I caught a few pieces of episodes here and there, but like I wasn't like, oh my God, I've seen every episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark? Same with like Goosebumps and you know, Christopher Pike novels and things like that. Like I was just remember a little past that.
You remember at least walking through the room to being on, because I used to watch it.
Oh yeah, completely.
And there's like this sort of, it's not Solution Shorts, but it's sort of like 90s Nickelodeon spooky music.
Yes, totally.
Is really what this reminds me of. Mm-hmm. So I'm already, based on that, I'm already expecting cheesiness at this point, but like in the best way. Mm-hmm. Just from the terrible fun music, the 90s music. Puppet Master is set in the scenic seaside California town of Bodega Bay, which you may recognize from another little movie known as The Birds.
Every time I hear Bodega Bay, I was like, The Birds. To the point where I didn't even know Bodega Bay was a real place. I was like, oh, that's just the place that they made up for The Birds.
Now I know. Now I want to like go. I have no interest to go to California, but I do, kind of, just for the haunted shit, the weird shit, the freaky shit. The scene switches to a beautiful mansion-like building on a hill as ocean waves crash against the hillside below. The title card reads, Bodega Bay Inn, 1939. The wave sounds continue as we see a marionette of an acrobat with a Fu Manchu looking out of an apartment window. Classical music plays on a record player. An old man works on a puppet played by the incomparable William Hickey. Mm-hmm. I don't know him from much, but he is such a distinctive fixture in my childhood.
Like, yeah, because he was Christmas Vacation?
He was,
Uncle something. And he has a really distinctive, it sounds like this. Like, he has a very distinctive voice.
Yes. The old man paints the finishing touches on a ruby-lipped puppet with an oddly segmented face. He's not cute.
I think he's cool though,
but I want him in our house.
Right? He's just creepy enough that I'm like, yeah, let's put him in the living room.
Yeah, so I'm gonna figure out a way to make that happen. All right, and cool. Then if he's just like on your pillow when you wake up in the morning, we'll move.
Or I'll just know that you're a bitch who put it on my pillow to scare me.
Just leave the puppet in the house and just move. Puppet can have the house and we'll move. We next see the first-person view of what sounds like a hyperventilating miniature centaur, maybe? There's like clomping coconuts with like a healthy dose of panicked man sounds. Yeah. He runs outside the grounds near a hotel and makes his way quickly as he can through the halls. The old man, Andre Toulon, waves his aging hand delicately over the face of the ruby-lipped doll, and he says the words, "Life upon my life." And the doll's segmented face begins to spin in counter directions. That's fucking freaky. I'm sorry.
It's cool looking, though.
It's very cool, and I want it immediately, but it's freaky. It's freaky. Toulon says the doll is so beautiful before we switch back to the point of view of the panicking puppet again, and a shot of two severe-looking men dressed in black hats and black coats exit a black car. Toulon looks at the puppets who seem to show concern. Oh yeah, because the puppets are totally alive now.
Oh yeah,
like, they can. Yeah,
they're sentient puppets.
They can just totally move. Like the acrobat at the window is like doing the splits and is just like turning his head back and forth. I'm like, what the? Okay. Oh, okay. The puppets are moving. The puppet with the twisty face, whose name is Jester, according to the Puppet Master Wiki, which like saved my fucking bacon.
Oh,
this
yeah.
episode. Yeah. I had to go back to the wiki because there are so many gaps in this movie that I'm like.
That I'm guessing get filled in sequels and stuff like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I had to just go like a little bit digging just to be like, I need to comprehend what's happening.
Right. I need to know what to call things so that people who have seen the movie know what I'm talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it is, if it's a franchise that big, which it did become a giant franchise, I feel like I kind of owe it. You kind of owe it the respect to venture into the fandom a little bit and just go, okay, what are your rules for this movie?
You gave that way more thought than I did, because I just watched the movie and went, cool. And I watched a making of featurette and went, cool, and read IMDb trivia and said, I'm done. So,
hi, I'm Amy. Have you met me? I go too deep. Did I not say this
her
already?
nickname's Rabbit Hole.
My name is Yes. He says, I'll hide you. Well, he says, I'll hide you. And I, at that point, realized he was supposed to be French because I didn't know his name yet.
Oh, right.
And I was like, Hickey, are you doing an accent?
Yeah, kind of.
He is doing a French accent in this movie, and it's
an accent.
Chef kiss. It is awesome. I love the accent so much. Back in the lobby of the hotel, the two men continue on their mission, and the point of view puppet runs into a door, and we hear Tweety birds. Like, that literally happened.
As soon as I heard the bird sounds when he hit his head and fell over, I'm like, okay, this is what we're doing now. I get it. I get what this movie is.
I see you.
That's all I needed to know. Also,
I see you.
I'm so sorry. I don't think we've seen the puppet yet at this point.
Nope.
But like,
don't know what the puppet looks like.
How did all these people in the lobby not notice this fucking thing around their feet?
puppet.
Unless it's the size of a cockroach, which maybe it is. I don't think so.
Well,
but
we don't know yet.
I'm just saying, I'm like, I don't understand. I mean, anyway.
Yeah, at this point, I still don't know what.
Right.
At this point, I'm convinced it's a centaur mounted on top of a skateboard because I have no idea what the puppet looks like.
It's like that baby head from Toy Story with the like,
yes,
erector set spider legs.
It's a panting spider baby with coconuts for feet. So I don't know yet. So Toulon opens a wall panel inside his hotel room. And out in the hall, we finally get the first glimpse of the puppet. Mm-hmm. Finally. Like, he comes around a little bush and he's like, here I am. And I went, whoa, like, that was not on your Tinder profile, sir. Hello. Like, I know. And he's like wearing a hat and a coat that looks very much like what the strange men are wearing. I kind of noted.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
He appears to have very recessed eyes or no eyes at all. And he carries a tiny blade like the size of a fork tine in one hand. And in the other is a proportionally sized hook. He's bitty.
Yeah, he's a little bitty dude.
Like, he's cute and a scary skeletal.
I mean,
to
me, all of the puppets are like cute, creepy, ugly, cute. You know, all of them. Anyway.
All of them.
Yeah.
He watches desperately from behind potted plants, runs behind feet, across a piano even. And it even does that. Like
I'm like, okay, you could have gone under the bench, but to show that you have a physical presence, why don't you just hop up on the piano and run down the keys so we can play the keys? Like,
run into a door and go, I.
Right. Okay.
It was, yes.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a cartoon. It is a cartoon.
It really is. This is very much a cartoon.
Yeah. And so after he does the piano thing, he slides into the elevator. And it's like this antique looking elevator. It's really cool.
Oh, yeah. With like the rack or like the gate door. And
I have thoughts. I'll add them soon.
Okay.
Toulon casually packs away all of his puppets in a trunk. He handles each creation with great care, and this will come back again and again. This movie jumps back and forth from ridiculous to serious so much it will give you whiplash because it's this moment is tender and it's not goofy at all. And I'm like, okay, like there's this old man played by Hickey, and Hickey's not over the top.
No, he's very subtle and like kind of sweet almost.
Yes. And that is what is so confusing about this movie, which we'll absolutely get into.
Yeah.
So he's like, he just kind of packs the puppets away and gingerly puts them in a box. And, this movie also accounts for some of the best laughs I've had watching a horror movie in a while.
Completely.
I full belly laughed.
Oh my God.
Yes. It's good. It was pure.
Yes.
It was a very pure feeling. The tiny scared puppet called Blade, the one with the hat and the hook, runs into an older woman and they both scream comically and it runs on. So like right after that, it's Goofy again.
I was beginning to wonder if he was invisible though, because like I said, I'm like, how has nobody seen this puppet?
So he is seen. We confirmed that.
It's because she freaks the hell out and falls over. And so I'm like, okay, good.
And it also establishes something kind of important here because he's afraid and he runs away. And I was expecting an early kill. I was they're going to bring you in with this comedy early and then it's going to be a slasher
like bam,
immediately.
Death. Yeah.
Right, exactly. And it didn't give you that.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Yeah, so Blade doesn't seem violent. He just seems scared. And I think that kind of freaked me out more somehow. I don't know. I'm like, dude, you're the non-killing puppet. I know this is a movie about killer puppets. Right. That much I know. And you're the non-killing puppet. I was like...
But is he?
Right. It was very suspect. The Men in Black, played by Peter Franklin and Andrew Kimbrough, and credited only as Assassins 1 and 2, wait for the elevator and say something to each other in German, which I gave myself 5 minutes to try to figure out what the hell they said because you know me. I was like, what are they saying?
Somebody must have translated this somewhere.
Gave myself 5 minutes, couldn't get to it. And I was like, I'm not going to, all right, fine. But yes, the nerd in me was like, I must know.
I think they were just asking, hey, man, did you catch that episode of Matlock last night?
I know.
I think that was it.
No, it seemed like something Destiny something. My German isn't good enough to even like type exchange into Google Translate. So it was like, they're just
dudes.
Assassins 1 and Assassins 2.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all you know. They finally make it into the elevator. And is it just me or does this elevator give you like a healthy Frankenfurter nostalgia?
Oh, like from Rocky Horror. Oh, yes.
This elevator is like woefully lacking in Tim Curry stomping in platform heels. Because as it goes up, I was like, So Blaine finally makes it to Toulon's room. He raps on the door frantically with his hook and he tries to catch his breath and looks worried down the hall behind him. Toulon opens the door and reassures the poor little puppet not to worry, that he saw them coming and he won't let anything happen to Blade or the other puppets because he's going to hide them. He places Blade in the trunk along with the other puppets and he laments that it's a shame that they didn't have more time. And like Blade goes, oh.
He makes like a whine sound.
Yeah, like a tiny little, I'm like, oh, these guys, they're friendlies?
I don't know.
So as the assassins make it down the hall to Toulon's room, he quickly hides the trunk inside the wall where he took the panel away, and he replaces the panel back. He sits calmly in his chair and holds a pistol, and it looks like he's about to aim out the door.
Yeah, like he's waiting for them to come in so he can kill him.
Come and get me. The Nazis call out for Air Toulon only to hear a gunshot from inside the hotel room, and when they bust the door open, they find Toulon dead in his chair, blood splattered artfully behind his head.
Yeah, he shot himself in the head.
Yeah. We next see a title card that says Yale University present day. If it's present day, it's 33 years ago.
Yeah.
And I wish I hadn't done that math. A mullet sits at his desk inside an office. He appears to be dreaming. There are flashes of a hall-type room decorated with flowing drapes. It's very ethereal 80s music video. And a man's voice can be heard saying, "You can't save her, Alex," with like evil laughter. A man holds a pistol to the head of a worried woman. The mullet's name is Alex Whitaker, played by Paul Lamont. Alex's shirt begins to bleed, and he wakes up and rips it open to reveal large writhing leeches all over his torso, like big fatties. Alex yells and wakes up for real this time. And I love the old like double wake up, like in a totally unironic way. The like I always love that.
It was a dream. But it was another dream.
Yeah, I love like I love Inception.
Well, then you're gonna love this movie because this is not the last time it happened.
Yeah. He checks his chest, relieved. The next scene takes place at night inside a carnival, and I don't know where. I
don't know that it matters.
Doesn't say.
Let's guess the South, because the accent we're about to hear is quite South.
It is not. One thing I will tell you that it's not. It's not Louisiana. Even if this movie wants to portray this woman as from Louisiana, she is not from Louisiana.
No.
We do not.
No.
We do not claim her.
No. Our mom is from New Orleans, and
she will not claim this woman.
We have watched so many movies where they're like, oh, we're in New Orleans, so we're going to put on the Southern accent. If you have ever been to New Orleans, that is not the freaking accent. It's not like this drawl. They never do specify in the movie where she's supposed to be from, so I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. But because she's got like this sort of like voodoo fortune teller thing, you can assume that maybe they're trying to make it, that region. We are going way too far with this, but it's important.
Yeah,
it's important for us to tell you that what she has is not a New Orleans accent.
Yes, because she is offensive to every culture. Now we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Every single culture. So here we go. So this offensive woman we speak of is played by Irene Miracle. I love her.
That's a cool name.
Yeah.
It might be a stage name, but it's a cool name.
It's great. And she is a psychic. So she looks into a crystal ball and she talks to a young couple played by Barbara Crampton and David Boyd.
Barbara Crampton. I love when she pops up in horror movies.
She's been a lot else. I didn't look into her.
Oh my gosh. She is in Reanimator. She is in You're Next. She was in, there was an indie one that you and I watched about two boys whose dad owned a video store, and she was in she is kind of
a scream queen.
Yes, I love her. She's wonderful. I love when she pops up. She's in a very small role in this movie, but I was very happy to see her.
Yay. Well, good. I will probably cut out my ignorance to that.
You don't have to know everyone and everything.
Yes, I do. So she tells the girl she's going to be very happily married and have 2 children, a boy and a girl. And when she asks if Buddy here is ever going to get a real job, the psychic, who is Dana, as she'll come to be known, says that she sees a retail sales for Buddy, but quickly recalibrates when the girl laughs and says Buddy didn't graduate the 10th grade. And she's like, I don't see him in retail sales. You don't need to graduate.
I didn't know that like retail sales was such an illustrious position. Like I worked retail sales in high school.
It's a cash register.
So maybe
in the 80s,
his woman thinks he's real fucking dumb. Like I don't know. Maybe she's like, oh man, this guy doesn't know number. Like I don't know. She's like, oh no retail sales for him.
Do you think he was gonna have to hand figure sales tax? Right. What are you, from the 1950s?
Are you worried he doesn't know how to like hold a shovel? Like, are you thinking ditch digger for him? Like, tell us what you're hoping for.
My dumbass boyfriend here. Oh, and he doesn't say anything. He's just like, yeah,
yeah, you're right.
But she's hot, so no. Actually, he's going to be a foreman for a construction company, is what she says. And she's like, oh no, I mean, no, Never mind. I mean, he's going to be in a construction company and build a big store. That's it.
That's why I saw retail sales, because it's going to be a shopping mall.
Yeah, she tells the young couple buddy they're going to be that he's going to be a very rich man. And the girl seems unaffected by the charlatan's bumbling and says, "Oh, maybe I will marry him." Like, I don't want to marry this bitch. Jeez Louise.
But she's pretty.
She's blonde. The girl asks if she sees anything else, and Dana says that she's sorry the girl's grandmother is going to die, but again has to readjust when the girl tells her like her grandmother's already dead, and she goes, "Oh, actually it's Buddy's grandma." Like,
this chick needs to take lessons from Long Island media. Like, you make it vague enough that somebody will just like,
you say someone
you
in
go
your
90,
life,
make them come 10 to be like, you must be talking about Doreen
somebody
or whatever.
in your life with an M name or a J name.
Right. But she's like,
That's
it's
maybe male
it's for
and
sure your
older.
grandmother, except it's not. It's totally, now it's his grandmother. I was mistaken. Whatever. She
got to learn a little bit about cold reading. She doesn't
Yeah.
know nothing.
Yeah.
Hack. So Dana gets one of those telltale psychic migraines out of nowhere. Just like grab your head and you're like, oh, I'm seeing something. But
something's happening in my brain.
But for real, actually, this time. She starts grunting and choking, and I think I heard the words Gallagher kill me somewhere in there.
Definitely Gallagher. I heard the name. I don't know what else I
said
heard.
Gallagher Niner in there. And she sees the vision of a woman rapidly butt scooting down the hallway in black and white, somewhere trying to escape from a rapidly approaching camera mounted on a remote control car, maybe?
I don't know.
She sees the flick of a knife and screams no. The vision seems to go away, and she's left panting and holding her throat. So
something happened in the vision.
Okay. It's obscure. It's not clear in these shots who we're seeing yet. We next jump to New York City inside Pensa Research Inc.
Okay, I'm sorry. So we know we're in New York because we see the Statue of Liberty, we see the New York skyline, we see yellow cabs. It goes on for way too long. All this is imperative to let us know that this next part takes place in New York, which is completely not pertinent to the plot and will not come back again.
No.
But like, I can only assume this was to pad the runtime because this is a short movie.
Yeah.
So they're probably like, fuck, like, we need some time. I know. Let's do a bunch of unnecessary establishing shots that we're in New York City for a part of the movie that takes maybe 5 minutes. Okay, go. Like, I was just like,
can we make a 3-minute music video out of it with some sort of montage of just New York shots?
It was so random. And I was like,
can we see a New York cab driver getting a hot dog from a hot dog cart?
Right.
It's New York.
Show
You get
30
it.
Rockefeller Center. Just show it all. Oh my God. Anyway, it made me laugh.
Yes. So 2 lab coats named Frank Forrester, played by Matt Rowe, and Carissa Stanford, played by Catherine O'Reilly, sit inside a psychic research facility. Frank sets up an experiment between a passive and active subject. He asks Carissa if she's ready and then asks the subject to think of her wildest sexual fantasy and to be as detailed as she can be. He waits a few moments and then asks Carissa if she's getting anything from the subject. He's like, are you seeing a man riding a horse?
Yeah.
And when she says no, he doesn't understand why he's the only one getting the images. And then he teases her and he's like, he's getting quite a bit of detail from the subject. And he goes, this little girl has quite the vivid imagination.
This guy is such a
fucking
creeper.
No.
He's such a creeper.
Nope.
And
nope.
like, what? Okay. What
Cool.
What goes through your head to volunteer to be a test subject in this scenario? Like,
it was the 80s. People did a lot of coke back then.
I guess so. But like, it strikes me as the kind of thing where like you get a card from a guy that like comes up to you on the subway and he's like, yeah, it's office suite such and such in this building. But you find out later when you go back that like they only rented it for one day and it was like a total scam.
Yeah.
Just to get young women to tell you about their sexual fantasy. It's really I need a shower. It's just, it feels skeevy.
So also sexual psychic sounds like the worst superpower to me.
Oh my God.
Like,
We'll get into it in a little bit because I have thoughts.
I don't really want leech dreams either. But
no, but sexual psychic sounds not fun. I mean, maybe I'm just too old now, but like, I'm just, no, thank you.
Speaking of leech dreams, just then Alex Whitaker calls and Frank says that he and Carissa have been expecting him. Alex alludes that they must have made contact. And alien? I don't know. And Frank says that they received contact last night while experimenting. Ew. We'll get into that in ew. Alex asks what it means, and Frank says it just means that Gallagher must have found the old puppet master's hiding place, and he's calling for some kind of meeting. Frank says he also received contact from the White Witch, Dana, who is the only one who knows the location, an old hotel in the California coast known as the Bodega Bay Inn. Frank says he'll need Alex to come and that they'll need all of their collective powers.
Real quick, is this where they show the outside of the hotel really quickly before they kind of move to the interior?
Yes.
So the hotel was a miniature.
Oh.
Basically, I mean, I say miniature, it was about the size of a refrigerator, but when they found the exact spot in, where they wanted to show the hotel as being located.
Yeah.
With forced perspective and exact, specific placement of the miniature, they were able to make it look like it was on top of that cliffside, but that is not a real building. Like, that is a miniature that they built and sculpted and shot forced perspective.
So that hotel is not real. That is not a real hotel that you
No, my dear, I'm so sorry. I just gave my sister a big sad. I'm so sorry.
This is why I want to do research ahead of time. Because you popped my balloon on the podcast.
I'm sorry. I'll buy you an ice cream.
I'm lactose intolerant.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. And the next scene, Teresa, the innkeeper, played by Muse Small, who, she's so cute.
And she's amazing. Did you read up on her at all?
No.
So in the very first production of Grease on Broadway, she played Frenchie.
Of course she played Frenchie.
So she's got some Broadway cred. Oh. She has her own band. Oh. She did some acting, quite a bit of acting. I love her little voice. Like, her speaking voice is just adorable.
Okay, well, that's the rabbit hole I'll be going down.
Yes, Muse Small is she's worth a Google. She's super cool. Just a cool chick. I saw pictures of her now. She looks like a white-haired hippie. She's so cute.
She like New York art scene?
Like New California. York? I think she's California.
Oh, wow.
I think she's California.
I won't have to look her up.
Honest to God, I don't remember. I just know that she's precious, and I loved her in this movie.
So we see Teresa, and then we also see Megan Gallagher, played by Robin Freites, walk down the large staircase to greet the sidekicks. Teresa complains that she doesn't know who they think they are, just barging in out of the blue. Already, I love her.
Yeah, she's grumpy.
Like, what are you doing in my giant hotel?
And I didn't invite you, and please get out of my space.
Call ahead.
Yeah, I love it.
Megan warns Teresa not to be rude, and these are probably just the guests that Neil said would come. Megan introduces herself to the group, and when Alex offers he hopes her presence isn't unexpected, Megan says that Neil said that they'd be coming. When Dana asks where old Neil might be, Megan says that she thought they all knew. In the next scene, we see Neil Gallagher's body. The corpse is played by Jimmy F. Skaggs. Neil lies waxy and tan in the coffin in what appears to be the hotel's front parlor. Megan informs the group that Neil shot himself. She says he left a note, but all it said is that he didn't want to be buried until they had all arrived. And she's like, so now that you have, we'll bury him.
So I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
You're at a hotel. Your husband dies. All he tells you before he dies is that don't bury me until some people show up. But he doesn't tell you when those people are going to show up. Like, do you lay your dead husband out in an open casket in a hotel parlor for like an undetermined, undisclosed amount of time? Like, it could be weeks. I mean, last wishes and all, I get it, but like, he's going to start to stink.
He's dead.
I know.
He is dead. Yeah, he wouldn't be.
But
there
he wasn't like, they're going to be here next Tuesday around 7.
Yeah,
like,
when the people show up, I would be like, he left a note that you'd be coming.
He said he didn't want to be buried, but like the flies were gathering and I had to do something.
Like farts. And I couldn't stand the stench anymore.
I'll dig him up if you need me to, but like...
No. You can dig him up. I'll show you where the shovels are. I'm not...
Here's a backhoe.
He
like, whatever.
smelled bad. She suggests that they'll bury him tomorrow, and she says if you can stay. Megan says that they will be shown to their rooms. She'll serve dinner, and then turns with Teresa to leave the room. Frank asks if they can stay a while and pay their respects, and Megan agrees before retiring. Teresa keeps a suspicious eye on the group and says, don't touch the body, before exiting swiftly. Once Teresa and Megan have left the group, all turn their focus back to Neil and stand around the open casket. Dana asks what the hell is going on and how they weren't able to pick up that he was dead. I had to say it.
She's like...
Dead. She says dead with 3 syllables like Blanche Devereaux.
I was just about to say it's like a Blanche Devereaux delivery here.
Why didn't they tell me he was dead? Frank says that he doesn't know, but he says Gallagher was probably blocking some signals to the images. He sent them somehow. Dana pulls out a long hairpin or acupuncture needle or something, and Carissa asks what she's doing in an alarmed tone. Dana holds the needle gingerly while explaining that she just wants to make sure he is all he appears to be, and plunges the hairpin-looking thing right into Neil's chest with a squelch. She like right through the breastplate. She confirms that Neil is in fact dead as a doornail, and that would totally work. If you held it right there, totally that hairpin would go right through. Wouldn't even
bend or nothing.
Nope. Next, we see Megan rides an elevator with Alex up to his room. He makes small talk, asking how Alex knew Neil. Alex says that they worked on a project together, and then mentions that he's a professor of anthropology at Yale. It doesn't seem necessary to say that, but
many things in this movie don't seem necessary.
I guess if you are a professor of anthropology at Yale,
you tell people.
You tell everyone.
Yeah, that's true.
That explains all the random artifacts decorating his office earlier, because I kind of thought that he was taking a nap in a world market or an earthbound trading company. Like... He's just snoozing around.
Well, I think in reality, like in real life in the world, that's absolutely what was happening. But in the context of the movie, they're like, no, it's an anthropology office.
He's completely at Yale right now in this movie.
Meanwhile,
we had the budget to shoot at Yale.
Excuse me, I just need this African mask and the statue of Buddha. Place it behind my head. We've got 3 minutes camera time. Let's go.
Alex stares at Megan in a manner that makes me want to remind him, hey, mullet dad, don't stare at a woman in a confined space that way.
The hair is so good. And by so good, I mean so not good. Like, it
is beautifully sculptured. Okay, look, this is something I must say. The mullet is a very technical haircut.
Really?
The mullet is an extremely technical haircut. Any hairdresser will tell you that you don't just go in and think you're going to mullet. Like, it's a hard haircut to get. It's very fashionable right now. People are very much into their mullets again.
In case you wonder why Amy knows so much about this, it's because she used to be a stylist. So she does know a thing or two.
I was not used to be a stylist. I did hair cutting for a year and I quit because it's hard. That's why I feel like I can talk about the structure of a mullet. Anyway, the mullet, blah blah blah. It's a structured haircut. It's a hard haircut to create. So I do have an appreciation for the mullet. However, this mullet it's shaped like it looks like a loaf of bread somehow, but
it's got a little feathering too on the sides.
Feathered loaf of bread, but no wave to it.
No,
perfectly like
it is sprayed into place.
A roller brush was used in the making of this mullet.
Blow it out.
It is a blown out mullet.
I do want to give Alex Whitaker the Buddy Repperton Hair of Horror Hall of Fame award because
he may have slid into the top slot.
Man, Buddy Repperton's hair from Christine is pretty amazing.
You're pretty right.
But like, if we're doing like a rock and roll Hall of Fame where like nobody really ranks above anybody else, Alex Whitaker gets the Buddy Repperton Hair of Horror award.
Okay, well, that's my new favorite award, and that is now a thing that we do.
Welcome.
All right, well, thanks. So Megan points out his creepy staring with an uneasy chuckle, and he says that he's sorry. It's just that Neil was so obsessed with his work, it's hard to believe that he's taken out time to get married. So everybody kind of seems shocked that she exists at all.
Yeah, well, as his wife. Yeah, they're like, do you know this guy? Like, what the hell?
Nobody knew about her. Okay, so in the next scene, Teresa turns down the bed in Dana's room and explains that the hotel used to be much busier. The Queen of England once stayed here, she says. Took care of her myself. I'm like, okay, very like popular, famous. Got it. Dana, white witch smoke cleanses her room.
Oh, boy.
Teresa asks what she's burning, and she says, hickory and dragon's blood. She uses a feather in her hand to wave the smoke at Teresa, who gags on the smoke and asks what she's doing. And she says, I'm cleaning your etheric body. It's for protection. Don't go near the fireplace. Teresa backs out of the way from Dana's witch wafting.
I mean, I'm of the mind that you don't smoke cleanse anyone without their say-so. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not going to, like, walk into a room and be like, your etheric body is filthy, and then just start, like, blowing smoke in your face.
Or their property.
No, I know. It's a lot. Like, if you want to smoke cleanse your room, I mean, there's usually no smoking clauses in a hotel thing, but whatever. But, like, don't do it directly into a person's face. It's fucking rude. Your aura's disgusting.
This white witch is really problematic.
You know, and we could go down a rabbit hole on all the problematic things. Let's don't. But let's just say that, like,
we are open-minded people.
This is
not an open-minded woman.
This is so stereotypical.
Yeah.
Of the way that certain things, like, of the way that, like, magic or psychic or whatever is portrayed in movies. Don't look at Dana as an example. Like, just don't. That's all I'll say. I'm done talking about it. But, like, this, yeah.
So Teresa, being obviously uncomfortable with having smoke wafted directly into her face and nostrils, says, I have a lot of work to do. Teresa sighs and thinks aloud, this isn't going to be easy. I have no idea what the hell she's talking about. Dana then pulls a stuffed Pekingese from her suitcase and talks to him sweetly and pulls dog food out of her bag and sings, got you a mighty dog. And so she's nuts, or she's me in 5 years.
The dog's name is Leroy.
Yeah, his name is Leroy. Stuffed Pekingese.
As stuffed dogs go, it's cute. Can I say
that? It's cute.
I mean, Pekingeses do have cute faces.
Yeah.
It's a well done taxidermy job. I mean, I think.
I don't think it's real. Is it real?
Oh, no, honey. That was probably
real.
I didn't look, and now I'm afraid to. So let's just say it's probably fake.
It's faux. It is.
It looks good, though. Like, it looks like what once was a real dog.
I'm going to say, just so I can keep loving this animal, that it's not real.
Okay. That sounds great.
That it's made that way. Oh, my God. So Teresa watches this craziness through a keyhole, and then, like, Fall runs away when Dana looks in her direction. She follows out to the hall and looks bemused in Teresa's direction. And at first I got the impression that the dog food show was for her, but I don't think so. That's just Dana, because she carries this dog around the hotel later. Like,
yeah, because wasn't it packed in a bag? Like, it was in a suitcase or whatever? Like,
yeah, no, this
is her traveling companion.
Yeah,
this stuffed dead Pekingese is her buddy Leroy.
Yeah. Alex studies a photograph of the Bodega Bay dining room and sleeps standing up. He starts to see the same dream. Mr. and Mrs. Gallagher maybe dance around in a circle in the same dining room. I think I watched this on streaming and I really can't see shit. Like, I cannot tell who these two people are.
No, that's Neil and Megan.
I know. Yes, we do know that later, clearly. But I think it was not clear to me.
Okay, I think you can tell, but I mean, they don't say it, but it.
Alex hears Neil's voice again saying that you can't save her, Alex. In the next scene, Teresa, Frank, and Carissa ride the elevator up to their rooms. Carissa starts to panic as she sees a vision of a sexual assault in the same elevator. She says that it's Gallagher assaulting the woman in the elevator and it's not his wife. Teresa begs them not to tell Mrs. Gallagher because she's upset enough as it is. Really? Like, that's your takeaway? It's not, what the fuck are you talking about? Please stop assaulting my elevator.
Right.
Do you need medical assistance? Don't tell Teresa. She's upset enough as it is.
Yeah, it's a little much. And like, maybe it's because I'm not a horned up 20-something anymore. But if I'm a sexual seer, which we guess, we gather that Carissa is, the last place I'm going to go is a fucking hotel.
Oh my God, because it is a fucking hotel.
It is a fucking hotel. Like, the hotel is for fucking. I'm like, I don't want to see any of that. I don't want to touch anything.
Yeah.
So, oh my God, no, your senses would just be assaulted by all these memories of people banging everywhere.
Yeah, and
no, thank you.
No, thank you. And honestly, I can't remember seeing this woman again. It never comes
supposed
to have been assaulted in this elevator. So unnecessary assault.
I mean, I guess they're just trying to establish the kind of guy that Gallagher was,
or trying to establish the type of psychic that Carissa is. But that is made clear so many times later. Like, you don't
very, very vividly and descriptively.
Later, Carissa rides around on a bed. It's not important to the plot. She's a sex psychic, and it's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Frank says that they need to use their talents for business, and I'm assuming he means writhing the sex psychicking. Like, I don't know.
It was the 80s, man. I don't know what else to say.
So we next see a close-up shot of Neil Gallagher's open coffin. Pointy thumb dude, Pinhead. But, there was one Pinhead, and it is from Hellraiser, but...
Although, actually, in Hellraiser, his name's not actually Pinhead. It's the Hell Priest.
I know.
But, yes. So, the puppet in this movie with the tiny head, they refer to as Pinhead. When I was writing about him, called him Thumbhead.
Because he looks like a tiny thumbhead.
If you hear me say Thumbhead,
they're interchangeable, and we'll call him Pointy Thumb Dude or Thumbhead.
Yeah.
But it's Pinhead. Operated by Cindy Sorensen, and pulls up from beside Gallagher's body and jumps out of the casket. Please talk about the puppets.
Okay, so I'll talk about this puppet because this is where we see him for the very first time. A lot of puppetry was done, or a lot of shots were done with stop motion. Honestly, this is you can tell it's stop motion, but it's not like jolty and janky like a lot of stop motion is. It was very smooth and very well done. I was kind of surprised because... we've seen what the movie's been like up to this point. Yeah. I'm like, nah, man, I'm expecting some dumb, like, Godzilla movie level. No. The stop motion is great.
Yeah, some love went into these puppet sequences.
They absolutely did. The puppeteering was done or was organized by a guy named David Allyn. David Allyn has his own shop in Hollywood. Yeah,
he's kind of a legend.
He is kind of a legend. He won an Oscar for some of his work on the intro to a Sherlock Holmes movie back in the 70s or maybe 80s. He worked on Ghostbusters 2. He has quite a few notches in his belt. And what they did with the puppets in this movie was great. For Thumbhead here, for Pinhead, there was a stunt person operating the arms.
Cindy
Her
Sorensen.
name's Cindy Sorensen.
Yeah.
She is a little person. And I guess we could say that the Pinhead puppet is maybe 2 feet tall, roughly.
Yeah.
So what they did is they sculpted the face and the body, and Cindy would insert her arms into sleeves to make it look like the puppet's arms.
I was just gonna say, it looks like it's probably like a My Buddy doll with a thumb head, like.
Oh, right. Size wise, you mean?
My Buddy, Your Kid Sister, like from that time frame.
Maybe. So what she would do is she would put her arms into the sleeves of the shirt that the puppet was wearing and put her head down so that you couldn't see her head. Now, she even said in the making of featurette that it was difficult for her because she couldn't look up to see what she was doing or where her hands were going because she had to be out of sight. But the way that they did this puppet was very cool. The facial sculpt on the puppets are great. Mm-hmm. They have a lot of personality and a lot of character. There's a couple that we'll see later that I really just love their faces.
And I love the structure of this puppet because I love that there are human hands. It's just, there's something so off-putting about.
It's off-putting, but it's It's really fucking cool. It's just
all
cool.
of the puppets are very cool.
And given what I thought this movie was going to be going into it, I kind of was surprised at the level of craftsmanship that went into the puppetry
puppets.
of the movie. And I really feel like that's probably why this movie has become a cult classic.
I agree.
It's not for the plot. It's for the puppets.
I agree. Yeah. So we next see Megan walk into the same dining room from Alex's dream as everyone sits around a table for dinner. Megan says hello to the group and checks to see that everyone has gotten in all right. Frank comments that the hotel seems to have quite a history, and Megan says that yes, it does. It has been in her family since the turn of the century, and her parents operated it until they died a few years ago. Dana says that the rest of the group are just so curious about her and dear Gallagher. Megan says that she met Neil when he was working on a project. They became friends, and when her parents died, Gallagher helped her through some tough times. Dana comments that that does not seem like Neil. Alex's mullet disapproves in Dana's direction. It fluffs when it's angry. Megan ignores Dana and continues she was pretty surprised when Gallagher asked to marry her. She says that she liked him a lot and that he said he loved her and offered to help her run the hotel. Dana says, now that sounds more like Gallagher. He wanted something. Her asshole Southern charm is just baked right in. Bless her heart.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Megan continues, still not opting for the stab the bitch in the hand with the fork response because she's a high road chick, I guess. Megan says that she got married 2 years ago next Friday, but she said Gallagher had so many ideas for the hotel. Then he just decided to renovate everything, so they closed it down. That's not suspect at all.
No, let's just tear open a bunch of walls and I don't know, look for false panels or something.
Yeah. Alex asked about Neil's work, but Megan confesses he didn't tell her much about it, but she knew it was very important to him. For some crazy reason, Neil was more interested in supervising the renovations for the first year of their marriage. They really tore it up, Megan says. She's unaffected saying this. Like, she's not like, and I spit in his face or whatever. She's just like, matter of fact. It's so weird.
Yeah.
She says, then suddenly one day Gallagher just stops everything and shuts himself away with his work the whole next year. This sounds like the sexiest first 2 years of marriage ever.
Right. Great honeymoon period.
Right. Far be it for me to tell anyone how to love, but yeah, I'm with Dana. This is suspect as shit.
Yeah, for sure.
Dana mirrors my sentiment by saying she would have kicked that bastard out on his ass. Alex says, Dana, using disappointing mullet dad tone. Megan looks at Dana directly and says that if she has something to say, she wishes Dana would say it to her. Alex tries to intervene that Dana just likes to stir things up and to ignore her, but Dana does not miss an opportunity now that poor Megan has invited her to speak. Dana asks Megan the burning question inside of her that she wants to know if it's possible Neil married her for her money. Frank says Dana has a few drinks and becomes quite the tight ass, but Dana disputes this and says she preferred to consider herself a nasty bitch.
This is my favorite of Dana's lines.
I know, I'm beginning to like her.
I prefer to think myself as a nasty bitch.
I was like, ooh. Mullet Dad says that's enough, Dana. That's right. You tell him, you beautiful feathered ape drape quaff daddy. Dana retorts with, fuck you, Ivy League dynass. Okay, I like Dana.
We hate love her.
She sucks and I want to travel the world with her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She says, why continue the pitiful charade? Gallagher sucked and fucked them over. A despicable, greedy bastard, Dana calls him. She says Gallagher screwed them and they mean to even the score. Megan storms out at this into the night and Alex follows behind and offers, I'm sorry, she usually isn't like this. Seems like she's like this.
Seems like she's absolutely always like this.
Megan huffs and says that she just is so confused and demands to know who they all are. Alex says some call us magicians. And Neil says that they all have unique psychic powers and then hits us with solid exposition over calliope music and slow motion footage of everyone eating and echo laughing. Oh, God. Frank slow motion eats shrimp.
Oh, it's nasty.
I'm still not okay from the bay. Alex continues that during a study project, they all met each other. Frank and Neil found evidence that Egyptians unlocked the secret of giving life to figurines. We next see Teresa making a fire. She builds the firewood and huffs that she needs the day off. Suddenly, Teresa hears the piano and stops her task and goes to investigate. When she makes it to the front of the piano, she sees no one sitting there, and we see Pinhead select the iron fire poker lying in front of the fireplace. Teresa is suddenly hit over the head with a fire poker, and blood splatters on the firewood and dead.
Okay, so first of all, R.I.P. Teresa, because she was precious.
I know.
And a busybody, and annoyed, and grumpy, and probably an introvert, and I'm sad that she's gone.
Yeah.
But two things here. First of all, the little thwack that she gets with the fire poker barely makes a sound, but that is a hell of a blood spray. It's like, but there's like no noise. It's like, thunk. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ, man.
I know, it's really funny.
But here's a question I pose to you.
Yes.
So Teresa comes in to tend the fireplace, which Dana earlier told her to stay away from the fireplace.
She definitely did say that.
So if a psychic tells you out of nowhere to stay away from a certain thing, right, that your life depends on you staying, please stay away from the whatever.
Yeah. How
long do you stay away from it before you're like, you know what, it's probably not a big deal?
Well, I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious.
Shut the fuck up.
I am a little stitious.
No, I'm a little stitious too.
Very stitious. I'm hyperstitious, if that's possible.
So my question stands: how long do you stay away from the thing they say don't go near?
Probably a solid week, and then I'm going to be a little around it all the time. Like I'll probably like light a match, flick it in like from a distance,
right?
But
you're not going to go hang out there like the same afternoon, maybe 30 minutes later.
No,
I was like, I mean, I am the skeptic of all skeptics in terms of like visions and paranormal this and ghosts and all that crap. But I'm like, safe than sorry. I'm probably going to be at least a week or two before I feel even remotely kind of okay to like dip a toe in the water, being close to whatever they warned me off. I mean, I still to this day have not touched a Ouija board. Not because I believe in it, but why take the chance?
Yeah, you get mad at me if I bless you before a sneeze.
Because you usually take my fucking sneeze away. You go, oh, bless you. And I'm like, well, now I can't sneeze. It's just rude. And I thank you kindly. Just stop it. Okay, skeptic.
So you next hear a blood-curdling scream. Megan faints, and the psychics discover Mr. Body's body is gone. No, I mean, Neil's body is just sitting in the chair in the parlor, and his eyes are wide open. And he really doesn't look all that dead. He doesn't look all that dead. He's like super tan. Like he's very...
I mean,
I must spray paint, probably.
No,
Dana,
that stuff becomes her.
Right. Dana insists that he's definitely dead. She made sure of it. They put the body back in the coffin, and Frank says starting tomorrow, they will be tearing that place apart. Frank thinks that Andre Toulon's secret must be right at that hotel. Dana says it doesn't make any sense. If he found the secret, then why would Neil kill himself? And Carissa says, yeah, and who's fooling around with the body? Mm-hmm. Frank states that he never trusted that son of a bitch, and Dana says maybe Megan is up to something.
I seriously doubt that Megan's up to something. She is about as exciting as a plane of unbuttered toast, so I really don't think she's up to anything.
Yeah. Later, Megan wakes up on the couch where she fainted to see Alex sitting next to her. She glances to where Neil's body had been sitting and asks, that wasn't a dream, was it? And who would do that? Alex tells her that they suspect it was Teresa and they can't find her anywhere. Megan goes to get up, but Alex insists that she rest. Megan asks what Alex is even doing there, and Alex insists that he had to come. He had a dream that led him there. He came to make sure it didn't come true. That's cryptic as shit, but yeah. Sure. We aren't given time to ponder Alex's cryptic dream because Carissa is having a psychic moment in the bathtub.
Ugh,
Frank's...
So is that what we're calling it now? Psychic moment?
It's a psychic moment, yeah.
Jesus.
Frank says that as long as she's in there, she should think about Neil. And she calls him an asshole or son of a bitch or something.
Yeah, their whole dynamic is just... Ugh.
It's just pretty gross. Megan stands next to Neil's casket. She tenderly kisses her hand and then places the kiss on Neil's lips and says, sweet dreams. But from our point of view, we see the silhouette of Jester behind the curtain in the large parlor. Jester appears from view as soon as Megan turns around to see if there was something there, because she hears a noise.
Yeah.
Carissa, still in the bathtub, asks what Frank is doing. He says he's getting ready for tonight's experiment, quote unquote. And then she says, suppose you found it, Frank. Toulon's power. What would you do with it? Frank says, that's easy. I'd take over the world. Carissa asks if Frank thinks Mrs. Gallagher is pretty. But when he doesn't answer, she gets out of the tub and begins to look for him. To creepy swelling music. What is funny to you?
Rather than answer her question, like, she's like, do you think she's pretty? And he doesn't answer it. And so he just like nopes the fuck out, and then it completely changes the subject, because the next scene we see him, he's pulled pantyhose over his head. So it's like a kid trying to not get caught in a lie. So they just completely change the subject.
Yeah. I don't get it. Like, apparently preparing for their experiment includes like a robbery fantasy or something. Like, I don't.
They like start making out with the pantyhose on his head. Like,
I'm not here to kink shame. Everybody has their journey, and I'm not here to,
I'm not here to kink shame. I just don't really want to look at it.
Yeah. Next scene, moving on. In the hall, Alex encounters Dana doing some kind of spell using a white candle on a piece of flash paper tacked to Alex's door. He asks what she's doing, and she says, we're all in danger. He means to kill us all. Gallagher. And she says, honey, even the dead have their ways. She ignites the flash paper, which flashes out of existence, and says protection as she smears blood from a chicken's paw into Alex's open palm. In the next scene, Frank reports his plans for that night's experiment like he's goddamn Shatner. It's very captain's log.
It really is.
Him and his lady do what sex psychics do, and she ties him to the bed and blindfolds him, which is only being mentioned here because it's important to the plot.
Correct. Also, she takes her robe tie to tie him up, but she's only got one robe tie, so therefore she ties one hand, but somehow later both hands are tied up with identical pieces of robe tie. So
that happened.
Yeah.
And also, I think her robe is still tied. Back in the hall, Mullet Daddy still wanders. He receives a red goddess candle and a spell from the White Witch, which he sarcastically refers to as a little insurance policy. Inside his room, he lights the candle, but begins to hear rustles and footsteps around the room. I think Blade might be watching.
Yeah.
Next, we see Dana talking to Leroy, the stuffed Pekingese, as she reads tarot cards. She hears Carissa and Frank psychicking through the wall and says, this is going to be a long, lonely night, sugar.
Psychicking through the wall.
Yeah, that's like my new.
Experimenting. Loudly
psychicking. Back in the hall, it's their process. It's how they reach their spirit guide or whatever. It's fine. Back in the hall, Blade listens right outside the psychic's door. He uses his whittle hook hand to adorably drag a chair.
That was so cute.
He's like his little hook hand, and he's like
it's really cute. I know these puppets are death puppets, but they're really cute.
I know. I think you're supposed to be scared of them. Like, there's maybe, but I find them endearing as hell. I love all of them.
Kind of cute. Yeah.
So he uses his little hand to drag the chair and looks in on Dana, but is pulled away by the raptured sounds of hardcore psychicking. Blade drags his chair over and looks through the keyhole, and then Tunneler, a puppet with a drill point for the top of his head, shoves over, and he looks through the peephole.
I love his face, too.
Yeah.
It looks like all like meaty drill sergeant face, like from like a 1950s cartoon or something.
Yeah,
it's all, but he's cute.
Mm-hmm. So Carissa only stops once. She glances at the open door and says she thinks someone's in the room, and then drops to the floor. Frank lies helplessly on the bed and begs for Carissa not to do this to him.
He's also suddenly blindfolded.
He's blindfolded in this scene. Yeah. As Carissa looks under the bed to see if anyone is there, Tunneler runs at her face at full sprint, and then we see kicking feet, but we don't really know what happened to Carissa.
Yeah, we hear her scream.
Then she stops kicking.
Yeah, and then no more Carissa noise.
Yeah. Frank, confused, blindfolded, and still horn enthusiastic to get back to the psychic channeling, asks Carissa where she is and what's happened. Suddenly, a small raven-haired puppet wearing a satin dress leans over Frank's nipple and does a little open-mouth puppet play on him. I think it's like...
And she's making like little moany noises like...
It's very... Yeah. Thinking it's Carissa, Frank calls her a minx and seems to be enjoying the attention on his boob hats. Suddenly, the puppet's mouth stretches wide open, and she regurgitates a leech right onto Frank's areola. When he starts to feel pain from the blood sucking, he jumps and knocks his blindfold askew to see the leech woman gagging leech after leech onto his body.
This is so gross.
She does it very lovingly, though. I don't think she's trying to be mean.
I mean,
maybe he looked like he needed a little like bloodletting or leech purifying. Like,
I mean, so I want to talk really quick about the leech puppet. I don't know what they call her. I'm just going to call her the leech woman. I don't really know what else to call her. So the way they designed it, you can tell when you look at the puppet's face that it's very flexible. So it's like made out of like a foam rubber or whatever. Mm-hmm. The leeches were kind of attached. So they were kind of like folded in to the puppet's mouth.
They're not real leeches, are they?
No. No. And what
they did, they were, but I was like,
no.
Really?
But what they did is they designed it so that the leech could be pushed about 3/4 of the way out. That's as far out as it would come because it was attached to the foam rubber of the puppet's mouth.
Oh,
they would shift the camera angle and show the leech fully on like a surface, like a body, like Frank's chest or whatever. But in reality, that leech did not come out of that puppet's mouth. It was just like through camera angles, it looked like she was fully spitting them out onto his chest.
Oh, all right.
It was really cool.
That is very
Yeah,
awesome.
they talked about it in the little making of. It's called pulling strings or something.
No strings.
No strings attached.
Yeah.
There we go.
Alex on the other side of the wall turns into Nick Nolte. Like he's all like, give it a rest.
Oh, right. Because
I gotta wear it off.
Oh, he's trying to sleep and he's just hearing, well, now he's hearing Frank screaming, but he thinks it's like throes of passion.
Right. He's like,
I'm sorry, throes of psychic screaming. And he's like, shut the fuck up. Like, but that's not what's happening.
He's all cranky and grumpy and his mullet's all fluffy. Dana drunkenly walks through the halls talking to Leroy. Damn, maybe she is me. Except trade the booze for THC. Like,
well, and a dead dog for a live one.
Yeah, same. Or both. I don't know. She tells Leroy she's really happy he decided to come with her on the trip. As she's laughing and talking to Leroy, she runs into Wandering Mullet Dad again, and she offers to have him in for a nightcap. He declines and she says, well, I tried. Well, yeah, lady, you're also pretty hot and cold. Wasn't it you that called him an Ivy League tight ass earlier? Like, wasn't...
I mean, you need your itch scratched. You don't really ask questions, but...
I suppose.
It's not for love. It's for... Oh.
It's for psychicking.
It's not for love. It's for psychicking.
Dana walks back into her room with Leroy and puts him down on the dresser, reminding him to be a good boy. She turns around to see Neil Gallagher sitting in her chair, eyes open, in the center of her room. She does a cleansing, I'm assuming, and shakes shells and stuff at Neil, and then tells Leroy that Neil won't be bothering her anymore. But as she walks to her bed, we see Pinhead's hands grab her from the back of the legs and pull them out from under her, and she face plants right into the bed hard.
Boom!
She tries to kick and struggle, but Pinhead breaks her ankle or something.
Yeah,
she can't walk. That much is clear, and in her pain, she throws herself onto the floor. Pinhead comes out from under the bed and begins to strangle her. She struggles for a while, but then one arm flings him across the room, past the potted plant, into the wall. It's as funny as it sounds. And it is the first of many.
It's so hilarious watching freaking Thumbhead Pinhead just fly all over the scenery. Because, yeah, he gets yeeted a few times.
Next, she butt scoots on the floor to try to get away, and we start to see who may have been her psychic vision herself. Like, so that vision that she had from earlier was actually of her, because now it's really clear.
Yeah.
I might have put the dog down and carried a bat or a table leg around or something, but that's just me.
Don't beat people with your stuffed dead dog. Just
know.
don't. It's disrespectful.
Anyway, Pinhead sits up and shakes off his tiny concussion and heads towards Dana, who is panting and whimpering and butt scooting and not doing well. She finally makes her way down the hall, but catches 2 swift face punches from the burly puppet fist.
His fucking punches are so funny.
I know.
Because they're so... Just watch the movie.
They're so perfectly placed because they have to be. Because
Right.
the actress was like... I couldn't see. I had to land them like perfectly against her face.
And they were touches. I mean, they were not even hits. It was like somebody came up to you and just like put their fist against your face gently and lovingly.
Really, Diary of a Miracle probably should have sold the face throw a little bit more. I mean, I don't really put it on the puppeteer.
No, I don't either. It's very comical to watch.
Yes. She grabs him again, and one arm flings him over the side of the stairwell railing.
And down the stair hole.
Down the stair hole. And Blade sees his buddy get body slammed for the second time, and I think he's pissed. Dana backs her way into the open elevator just before Blade gets to her and begins to catch her breath as she rides to another floor. When the elevator stops, however, Pinhead is waiting right there. Bruzy fist punches... or rather places his fist next to Dana's face for punch 30. He gets a few clobbers in before she goes, oh, right, and remembers that she has arms and throws him into the wall again.
He's a 2-foot puppet, ma'am. You can toss him.
No, and
you've
like,
done it twice.
She does not even try to flail or fight. She's just like, right.
I'm just going to sit here and take it. Wait, I don't have to. Oh,
Blade does not like this, and he descends on Dana from the roof access of the elevator and slices her throat. We're left with a really artful scene of her sitting dead, throat slashed in the open elevator, though. There are some beautiful camera shots in this movie.
It's weird. There are little tiny gems here and there in this movie like that.
And I remember, too, in the very opening scene after Toulon blows his head off, there's a moment where, like, the assassins come running in almost slow motion, and they're standing in these, like, sort of action poses.
Yes, with their guns drawn. It's a cool shot.
It's a beautiful shot. It's really well done. And so that interspersed with like weird punch 30 face and like there's just a lot going on. You're not really sure. Wait, is it a joke? Is it real? Is it a joke?
Yes.
It's great.
Yes. And now we know why Dana was grabbing her throat at the carnival after her vision when she screams and holds her throat and says Gallagher.
Yes.
Now we know where that came from.
In the next scene, Alex is awakened by a knock on the door. It's Megan. He gets dressed quickly and greets her. But she says she wants Alex to come with her. She has something to show him. He says to just let him put on his shoes, and she tells him to hurry. As they walk up the steps of the hotel, Megan tells Alex that she couldn't sleep. Something about Neil's death kept bothering her, and it never occurred to her that the old puppet master Toulon's death and her husband's death were connected.
Is this... Earlier in the movie, did we know that she knew about the puppet master? Like, did they ever bring it up around her?
Nope.
I didn't. Okay. So it wasn't just me who was like, whoa. How the fuck do you know about the puppet master?
Nope.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thought I missed something.
You didn't. Megan says after dinner it began to make sense. Megan says she found something, but she leads Alex back to that dining hall or ballroom we keep seeing from Alex's dream. Alex looks at Megan perplexed, but she just says, I told you I wanted to show you something, and we watch Megan dance with a man in a mask who's obviously Neil. Alex watches, but kind of stares forward as he walks around the dancing couple. His mullet has extra dream state bounce in the scene, and the room definitely smells like Aquanet. Tell me it does not.
I'm sure you're right. And like Jean Nate or Baby Soft.
Yes.
Yeah,
it does. The dance lasts a few seconds too long, and then Neil pulls his mask off and says, you can't save her, Alex, and points the gun to Megan's head. Alex wakes up and pulls back the sheets and sees the heads of Carissa, Frank, and Dana at the foot of his bed. Frank says, what's happening, Alex? And Alex wakes up again with a yell for the second time. The old double dream got him again.
I know. And it's a double dream decapitated head.
Talking decapitated head.
It was great. I loved it.
Throwback of It Part 2. Or It.
The miniseries?
The It miniseries, because...
Oh, Stan's head in the fridge. That's right. Oh, I forgot. Yeah.
So the old double dream. I think that he would probably expect that by now, but he seems shocked every single time he wakes up from a double dream.
I don't know. I don't know.
Megan really does come to his dream this time, though.
To his door?
No, she does. And she tells Alex that she needs him to come with her, that she wants to show him something, just like in his dream. But this time, Megan leads Alex up to an attic or an abandoned room. She says Neil used to spend hours up there, that she never knew what he was doing, but he never let her come up. This is where she finds Toulon's old journal and reads a passage to Alex. Today I gave them life, using the ancient Egyptian rites of afterlife. Toulon says he loves all of his puppets, and with him they are harmless, but he fears what would happen if the power were to fall into the wrong hands. Neil sends brainy psychic-y images, and Alex, who looks like he's holding in a dad sneeze, sees the hall again. Neil holds a gun and places the barrel to his own mouth playfully before pointing the gun at the screen and says, "Goodbye, Alex." Alex runs with Megan the hell out of there, and they run quickly down the stairs and stop short because the psychic powers appear to give him very painful gases. Like, he's just like, ugh. He takes Megan to the dining room where all of his friends are dead. Megan says they have to get out of there, and Neil chimes in with, "You're not leaving on my account, are you?" Megan says, "You're dead," and Neil chuckles and responds with, "Yes, he is. I put the gun in my mouth and I blew away my vast knowledge, and here I am, dead." He looks at both Alex and Megan smugly and says, she doesn't understand the metaphysics of it. This dude is a chode.
And then he's like, "Alex, you care to explain?" And Alex's face is like, "I got fucking nothing, dude. You're gonna have to fess up here, because I just woke up from like 7 dreams. I need you to help me out."
Maybe you should monologue and just give some exposition, because nobody knows what's going on yet, dude. Somebody has to explain it.
I'm not sure the writers did.
Yeah. Metaphysically speaking, he killed himself, and then he used the way of the old puppet master to bring himself back to life. Yep, cool. That explains everything. There's absolutely no holes or follow-up questions whatsoever.
No, I'm satisfied.
Please, Gallagher, continue. He wanted to live forever. All things end in death, yada, yada. Now he's immortal, woohoo. He has no end. Sure.
No.
At this point,
okay, Jan.
It's not that deep. He figured out a way to live forever, and Egyptians had something to do with it. That's really all you need to know. He has no end. Alex says Gallagher has no natural end, but his hair glistens with the rage of 1,000 suns, and Mullet Dad will live to see Neil destroyed. He doesn't say any of that. He just stares at Neil, but his hair says plenty. Neil tells Alex not to even entertain the thought, the strength it would take to destroy his physical body, why it would almost take 3 to 5 tiny sentient puppets with various weapons attached to them to pull something like that off. Then Neil gropes Dana's dead body, which isn't important to the plot, but we really had to see it, so you have to hear about it.
I know.
He just like gropes her boob, her dead boob.
I'm like, oh.
For why? Sorry I yelled, but why?
Because this movie is about boobs and
I don't know what
psychicking.
Well, at least you found a plot. I did not. Alex asks, why did he kill them? Gallagher says because they all share a brain. He had to get him out of his head. Then he said he's tired of experimenting with silly puppets and picks up and then throws Jester. Careful with that asshole. He's an antique.
Well, yeah. And
he's like, what, 90 years old at this point?
I don't know, but
he's worth something at least.
Not to Neil, but let me tell you what, it does not make Blade and the other puppets happy.
No, he's mean to the puppets and they don't like it. Gallagher confesses proudly that his first experiment was on Megan's parents. He said that he had no choice but to kill them, but it was a small price to pay to live forever. Megan shouts bastard and then tries to slap Neil, but he swiftly grabs her hand and punches her directly in the face. This movie does not pull its punches, like, no pun intended. Anyway, Megan gets punched and Alex gets punched and everyone gets punched.
It's a punch fest.
It is a punch fest. Neil upsets the Jester, who gets all worried face and points his little puppety finger at Neil, all creepy. Megan sees the Jester pointing at Neil, rearranging Alex's teeth, and she sneaks up behind him and hits him on the head with a glass vase. Megan grabs Alex and they try to make a run for it, but as they round the corner, Teresa is standing there holding a fire poker and says, "Don't touch the body."
I'm so glad we got to see her again, even if she is just a reanimated corpse.
Yeah, she's a puppet master puppet now because
like,
she's not dead, but her hair is all teased out and crazy. I knew this place smelled like Aquanet. I told you. It did. They back away and Alex turns only to be immediately punched in the face again by Neil.
Oh my God, this poor dude.
Megan screams for him to stop, and she tries to pull Neil away, but he throws her back to the floor and tells Alex it's time to die. He punches Alex a few more times, but Alex kick wrestle flips Neil into the elevator, and Pinhead quickly closes the elevator door behind him. Mm-hmm. Pinhead is pretty pissed about what Neil did with his power. Gallagher demands to know what the hell Pinhead thinks he's doing, calls him a cretin, and threatens to chop him into firewood if he doesn't open that door. Then he grabs him under his little armpits and throws Pinhead against the wall again. It is the fourth time for those keeping track at home.
With as much flying as Pinhead does, he needs a fucking cape because like he's just always sailing across the room.
Yeah. Neil struggles with the door and growls, and Pinhead grabs Neil by the ankles and pulls him to the floor. Neil pulls off Pinhead's head with a comical pop sound effect and throws him against the wall.
Number 5.
Neil gets Tunneler's head drilled to the ankle and gets thrown against the wall. Pinhead puts his head back on. Neil jumps up.
Here we see horror movie trope number 852, which is decapitated thing looking for its own head to put it back on its neck.
Yeah, he's like searching the floor very comically. In stop motion. That's easy task.
But again, the stop motion looked good. The stop motion in this movie is very good.
It probably took 3 months just for that sequence alone for him to just hunt for his own
But it
head.
looks great.
It looks fantastic. Neil jumps to the elevator shaft as the puppets try to descend on him, but Blade is waiting for him there. Blade chops off Neil's finger as Hans Gruber dangles from the elevator shaft. He falls to the floor and the puppets go ham on him. Pinhead holds him down by his face. Blade jumps down and stabs him in the hand that has the fingers. Driller bores a hole into his throat, and as Neil promises things will be different, Alex begs the puppets to stop. But we finally see my favorite leech lady, who vomits a big black leech into his mouth, to Megan's horrified screams of terror and Neil's screams of agony. Tunneler finally drills all the way through Neil's throat. Pinhead snaps his neck, and the leech sticks out of Neil's mouth, and green oozy slime drips from inside his dead maw. It is a thing of beauty.
So apparently, and you can also see this when he gets his fingers cut off, they used green blood, I read this on IMDb, to avoid having to give the movie an X rating. I'm like, you have done like... You've shown like not a full rape, but like an assault. You've shown like all the boobs and sex you possibly could, but red blood is what's going to get you the X-ray. I guess that was like the final straw or whatever.
Honestly, I think things are more backwards now because they'll show all the violence, but they're like, don't show tits. Tits are not allowed. Alex and Megan say they're not at all awkward goodbyes, seeing as they both just witnessed one of the most traumatizing torture scenes inflicted on a corpse by a group of puppets I've ever seen.
They're like, well, it's just a Saturday. Catch you on the flippity flip. Like, I don't know.
Hug, I guess. It's like a very awkward, like going for the hug.
Hug pat.
Yeah. She hugs the small Pekingese and heads up the steps. And as she rounds the corner, the dog is suddenly alive.
Why?
She says, "Good dog, Leroy," and roll credits. Holy shit, she's a puppet master.
So I have every question, but they won't get answered. So I'm just not going to ask them. But why? I literally wrote down.
I think it means that she knows the ways of the puppet master. I think that's because.
Where did she learn them? Did Neil teach her? Did she find them on her own? Did she know? I mean, obviously she knew about Talon.
She found Talon's journal, so maybe it was in there.
Oh my goodness.
So maybe she
at least she chose to reanimate Leroy because that is a cute damn dog. I'm so sorry. That little Pekingese face is
he deserves to live forever.
Yeah.
So what did you think of the Puppet Master?
Oh my God. What a freaking journey we have been on with this movie.
I think it was a fun journey.
You know what? It was fun. I can't say it's not what I expected or that it is what I expected because I didn't really expect anything. I kind of went into it just going like, all I know is there's puppets and this is a cult classic from like 89. That is literally as much as I went in with.
Yeah.
It delivered on those things. obviously plenty to laugh at, but some real, like I said, some real little sparkly gems just kind of hidden among the laughter of like really excellent puppet design, really excellent stop motion animation. If you're looking for this for like solid plot, you're not gonna find it.
Not in the first movie. Probably will need to watch a few more.
This made me laugh my ass off.
Oh my God.
I rewatched, this specifically. So I rewatched the little No Strings Attached featurette yesterday.
Yeah.
Right before we, because I knew we were going to record today.
Right.
And they had an interview with Paula Matt, who plays Alex, who plays Mullet Daddy.
Yeah.
And he said something about the script and how excellent he thought the character development was. And I'm just like, these are the flattest, most one-dimensional human beings. like Carissa likes to fuck. Frank likes to fuck. Alex likes to have a mullet. Dana is a bitch. That's about as like much as you get to know about Neil wants to control the world. It was a little funny to me that Paul Matt was like, oh no, there's excellent character development. There's just not. Perhaps in future films there is. I'm judging this strictly
Maybe he
off
means
of
his character development was great, and he was like, I'm gonna give myself. I'm gonna imagine myself as Samson with a button-down shirt.
So that was a lie. Like, is it? No, it's very flat. But did I have fun watching this movie? Hell
yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to turn your brain off, if you don't feel like watching a thesis horror or something you have to dissect, if you want to watch something that like almost qualifies for like Mystery Science Theater 3000 status,
it could be riff tracked easy.
This is a super fun popcorn flick.
Throw popcorn at the screen type of movie. It's great.
Oh yeah. This one, I feel like this movie almost deserves call lines the way Rocky Horror gets call lines. Like,
I agree.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's super fun.
Before I give my analysis, I want to say that this movie is the perfect example of why I love the horror genre so much.
Oh, yes.
True art comes here to play, and that sounds tongue-in-cheek for this movie, but I think that really great art emerges out of these $5 bargain bin buys. Like, I have found some gems in some bargain bins. I have found some old VHS tapes, and I'm like, this has a weird, stupid cover. The description is kind of intriguing. I'll watch it, and it winds up becoming one of my, some of my favorite movies.
Mm-hmm.
A choice of the producer, by the way. Yeah. That was a really smart marketing decision because this movie was very successful.
Extremely.
Among
you said how many? 13 sequels and spinoffs and damn.
And I am ashamed that I've never watched it until now.
No. And I'm sorry, please go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I just wanted to call your attention to the fact that for a movie called Puppet Master, the puppets have less than 5 minutes total screen time the entire movie. Yeah. Which is a damn shame.
It is.
That's the only thing that makes me kind of want to watch future ones, just because the puppets are so fun and so well made and put together.
I do look at like image. I have seen stills from like other movies, and like it obviously the puppets get revamped over time, and they introduce other puppets.
Yeah.
And some of that makes me a little sad because they look a little bit too clean later on, like a little bit too merchandisey. I love the rawness of these puppets.
Oh, definitely. They feel like they were handcrafted by somebody who was a puppet master. Toulon just sat there and carved them and painted them.
Yeah. It was a bit of a camel. Like I said, there were 4 writers on this thing. It did not feel completely cohesive, but maybe it was supposed to feel that way. I don't think it's that deep. Maybe the disjointed editing was supposed to harken back to A Fever Dream, because it definitely felt like one.
Yeah.
Movies like this are why I wanted to do this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
No shit, I will watch this again, and I will venture into the franchise because I just have to know more about the folklore. Like, I'm not satisfied with what I had, and I'm like, I feel like there's got to be more that
I think
answer.
There's a lot more.
So, that said, how many days are you going to be renting this movie for?
This is actually a tough one for me, believe it or not. If I'm looking at it as a piece of like cinema or film or whatever the shit, then
no, I don't.
No,
well,
right. Then I'm not going to give a very high rating. If I'm looking at it from like how much fun did I have with it, the rating's very different.
Yeah.
So on a scale of 1 to 10 days, how many days am I renting this for?
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to rent this for 6.
Okay.
It's certainly not my favorite.
No, I get it.
It is certainly hilarious.
Yeah.
It gives me horror comedy vibes. It doesn't give me horror vibes.
For sure.
You know,
for
and
sure.
I think the comedy...
In the same way that Evil Dead does, I think.
I think the comedy may have been largely unintentional.
Oh, yeah.
But that doesn't matter. Like, it was... I can absolutely see why this became a cult classic. 100%. I'm like, nope, I see why this developed a big-ass following. So, yeah, 6 days... I will watch it again, but it's not going to be probably in my regular rotation. But yeah, no, this was a good time, and I'm glad you picked this one to cover.
Me too. Me personally, I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10, a little higher.
Okay.
It is one that I would rent multiple times to show my friends and like be like, dude, come hang out with me. Let's laugh at Puppet Master because it would be a really fun party movie.
Yeah, let's get a little high and eat some fucking pizza and just like turn on Puppet Master
and laugh at Puppet Master. And I stand by it. I would happily see this movie in rotation alongside with the more popular classics that have like made it into high rotation.
Yeah.
For its own reasons. I feel like this movie does deserve a place in the classics. It's camp, but it takes itself more seriously than a typical late 80s, early 90s camp horror. So I can't really tuck it into that category.
Yeah.
The only reason I'm not rating it higher is because I really feel like there is a lot of missing folklore that was merely glazed over.
Yeah.
And granted, I have no other installments of the franchise to compare it to.
And it was a short movie. They had room to put it there if they wanted to, but they just didn't. They elected not to.
But to me, the Puppet Master is something special, and I expect my own leech dispensing doll for Solstice this year. Or I feel like you don't support me.
All right. I'll add it to the list.
And the end.
Awesome. Do you want to do your outro?
Yes, and I forgot what I was going to say.
It was cuddle up with a reanimated Pekingese. I know that. Issue of Mullet something. Mullet Daddy
Aficionado Monthly.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me just like write that in.
Mm-hmm.
Copy paste it, so I'm gonna have to like do it. I
fine.
should have scripted it at the bottom, but I forgot to do it.
Go ahead.
That wraps it up for this episode, listeners and lurkers. Thanks for joining us here on The Last Aisle. What did you think of this week's episode? Let us know on our social media channels, at Last Aisle on Facebook and Twitter, and at Last Aisle Pod on Instagram. We look forward to hearing from you. We'll be back next week with a new episode. So sit back, cuddle up with your reanimated Pekingese, and grab a copy of Mullet Daddy Aficionado Monthly, and come peruse this selection of movies in The Last Aisle. See you soon.